this video, we are going to draw this cute kawaii illustration of an adorable frog in Procreate. During this easy step-by-step tutorial, you'll get familiar with a lot of useful features like QuickShape Tool, Recoloring with reference, clipping masks, and blending modes, and learn the basics of drawing in Procreate. By the end, you'll not only draw an adorable illustration you'll be proud of, but also feel super confident using Procreate. And now, let's spend some time drawing! Let's begin our tutorial firstly by deciding what kind of canvas we are going to be using. Today we are using a simple standard square canvas that you can find in Procreate. Both our pixel width and pixel height are set at 2048 pixels. Our DPI are at 300 and our color profile is set as sRGB with this low number. When it's all done, hitting done, getting redirected to our new canvas, zooming it out just a little bit to see the whole canvas, and then we will need to decide on the colors. So if you want to use the same colors that you will see throughout this tutorial, please go under the description and download all the materials mentioned in this tutorial. When you've decided on the colors, let's just go to our layers, let's just go to the background color, and we will select the color with the name background. To see this screen, just go under cards and select the color. Now, when we did it, let's just go to our color palette and let's select the color that we will use for our sketch and our scheme. So you can pick any color that you prefer. For example, let's just go with purple shadow color. And when we did it, let's just go to our brush library. We'll go to the sketching folder and we will select again any brush that you prefer here. So for example, let's just go with technical pencil, and when we did all the preparations, let's just get back to our canvas, and just with one line, we will start by creating a shape of the ellipse. Hold it at the end, adjust the size if you want to by moving your Apple Pencil from side to side. So for example, let's just go with something like that. And when you are satisfied with the size, let's just go over this option, edit on the top. Now you can see we have some notes here. So let's just go and make our illustration a little bit cuter by making it a little bit more rounded. So we can just go to these notes that we have here. We can squish them, we can adjust them to our liking. And for now, let's not just go and position our shape straightly horizontal. Let's just go and put it a little bit in a perspective. So what we are going to be doing is going to this node that we have right here on our right, and we will lift it up just a little bit. So when you have the overall shape like that, if you want to move it, you can hold your Apple Pencil at some blank space and move it to the place you want it to be. So when you are satisfied with everything here, let's just tap on the screen to get away from this mode, and let's continue adding some details. So firstly, let's just zoom in our canvas and we will go over the top and we will go down with a curve like that. Hold it at the end. You can see when you are holding it, you can adjust the direction of this line. So what we need to do is to create a pretty nice line like that. Hold it at the end, and if you need to adjust it, let's just go over our editing mode and adjust the curvature, for example, by going to one of the nodes or to all of them. If you want to play with the direction of it, again, go to one of the nodes, either on top or on the bottom. If you want to move it to some place, you can hold your Apple Pencil and move it a little bit to the left or to the right. All that we need to do here is to divide our shape in a way that it is a little bit bigger on our left and a little bit smaller on our right. So let's just spend some time here and adjust it to something like that. When you have the result like that, let's just tap on the screen to accept our changes, and then we will go again over our top and we will start creating the shapes for the eyes. So let's firstly go over the left side and create another shape on the ellipse. So just create a shape, hold it at the end, then go to the editing mode that you have on the top, and let's just play around with this shape. You can again go and adjust it if you have the option circle here, and if you want to create the circles, you are welcome to go and do that. Now let's just go and create a bigger shape. So we will just need to go right between the nodes, hold our Apple Pencil there and just drag it outside. You can always take a look at your illustration from the distance to make sure that you are doing everything right and that you are doing the things that you would like to see here. So position it in a way that you prefer, and when you are done, let's just tap on the screen to get away from this mode. When we have the first eye, let's move on to the opposite side and create something similar here. So again, we are starting by creating a shape on the ellipse, holding it at the end, going to our editing mode and starting to adjust it. As we want our illustration to be not super straight looking, let's just position it in a bit of perspective. So let's just go and make this eye a little bit smaller and position it in that way. So basically what we need is to position the bottom part on one line and make the whole eye a little bit smaller. When you have the result that you like, let's just tap on the screen to get away from this mode, and then we will go inside these shapes and we will create another shapes inside. So what we need to do is to firstly go and create a line on the bottom like that, so we will know where we need to position our shapes. Let's just tap a bit from this line that we have right here on our bottom on the left, and from it we will just go to the right with a straight line. Again, we will hold it at the end, and if you want, you can take a look at it from the distance and decide whether you want to adjust it or not. When you have it set in that way, let's just get back to our zoom in, and we will firstly go to our left side, and again we will start by creating a shape of the ellipse. Again, hold it at the end, go to the editing mode, and let's start adjusting it. What we need to do is to combine our lines on the bottom, and also we will need to go a little bit higher, and we will need to create a smaller shape right here. So you can see that our distance from the first line is not similar on top and on the bottom, and that's exactly what we need. So now when we have the result like that, let's just tap on the screen, and let's just go to our right part and create another shape here. So again, we are just starting by creating a shape of the ellipse, holding it at the end, going to our editing mode and adjusting it. Let's make this shape right here a little bit thinner. So we will just need to go with a shape of the ellipse. And as for this shape that we have on our right, let's just go and create something going in that way. So you can see we are mostly repeating the shape that we have outside. If you want to go with a thinner shape right here, you are welcome to go and do that. So just create something that you would like to see here and combine the lines on the bottom again to your liking. When you have the result like that, let's just tap on the screen, and then let's just go zoom in our canvas, and we will go right here between our eyes and we will create a shape like that. So just stepping from this line that we have right here on the top and creating another curve like that. Again, you can do it manually, or if you want, you can just hold your line at the end and go to this option arc on the top to adjust it. So spend some time here, adjust it to your liking, decide on the distance from this first line. If you want to make it parallel to the first line, you are welcome to go and do that. Try not to go too crazy, because we would want this line to be some kind of an elongation on the overall shape that we have outside on the left and on the right and a little bit on the bottom. So when we have something going in that way, let's just tap on the screen, and then we will go to this line that we have right here that we've created for the bottom parts of our irises, and let's just go to this line and we will create a little mouth here. This line that we have right here in the middle is some kind of a middle of our shape, so we will step from it to the sides and we will go with a peculiar shapes like that. Let's just go again and create half of the ellipses or half of the circles on both sides from this line. You can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, you can adjust the placement of them, it's all up to you. You can go to the edges of these little shapes and make them a little bit thicker, for example, and just play around with these shapes and create something that you would like to see here. If you want to play around and create a different shape here, again, you are welcome to go and do that. Now we are just mapping out everything here, so you don't need to be very precise. You can adjust something if you don't like it later on. So when we have the overall shape like that, let's just move on to the bottom. And firstly, we will go over our left side. We will go and make a little mark down somewhere in the middle. And from this mark down, we will go to the opposite side and we will create a shape going in that way. So just creating a curve, going, holding it at the end if we need to go in over our editing mode and adjusting it. This line we will use to create a tummy area and also the area of the legs and something like that. So when we have something going in that way, let's just tap on the screen to get away from this mode, and then we will firstly go and create a little tummy line. So we will just go to the bottom and we will be just going firstly over the left side and we will go up with a shape like that. So just creating a peculiar line and trying to position it right in the center of our shape. So if you need to have a few tries right here with this line, you are welcome to go and do that. If it's not happening from the first try, try it out one more time. Grab the eraser if you have some extra line that you don't need here and erase everything that you don't need here. So basically what we need is something like that, and when you are done, get back to the brush and let's just go and start creating our legs. So firstly, let's just go to this little markdown that we have right here on our left, and from this markdown we will go down and we will create another shape of the ellipse. So just create it going in that way, rotate it if you want to, and then let's just go to our editing mode and adjust it. So let's just go and make it a little bit more rounded. So we will go and create a thicker shape right here. Position it to your liking. If you want, you can just go again and play around with these nodes and position it to your liking. When you have the result that you like, let's just tap on the screen to get away from this mode and accept our changes. And then let's just go to the bottom from this shape that we've created, and let's create a little toes here. So for the toes, firstly, we will go to this line that we have on the bottom of the shape, and we will go and adjust it a little bit by creating a line going up in that way. So we are just cutting this line and we are kind of connecting it with our main shape that we have for the body. When we have it in that way, let's just go to the bottom and we will start creating little sausages for our little toes here. So firstly, going a little bit from the edge that we have right here, and we will go with a shape like that. Also, we need to pay attention to the position of these little shapes because we want our little toes to be positioned on the ground, so we are not randomly positioning them and they are not hanging in the air. So what we need to do is to create something like that. If it's not happening from the first try, try it out one more time. If you need to create the direction, you are welcome to go and start by creating a few lines like that to just show the direction. And when you have these additional lines, let's just go and turn them into these little sausages. So our shape is some kind of a bean shape, and it is a little bit wider at the edges of our shape. So when we have the first sausage, let's just go and create another one. So just go in there and creating something going in that way. So for our frog toes, we can just go with 2 of these little elements or with 3 of them. Again, now we are just mapping out everything, so don't be too precise. We can change everything later on if we need to. Now, when we have something going in that way, let's just go over our right part and let's create something similar here. But this leg will be a little bit covered with the body. So let's just go and firstly do something like that. We'll go to this line that we've created as our guiding line, that the curve that we are creating here. So from this line, we will just go down with another shape on the ellipse, hold it at the end, go to the editing mode to adjust it. And you can see that everything that we are creating inside our shape will be kind of covered. So we just need to pay attention to this line that we have right here at the bottom part. So position it nicely and adjust it to your liking. When you have something going in that way, let's just go to the bottom. And again, as our little leg here will be covered with other elements, all that we need to do for our toes is to create a peculiar line like that. So for now, let's just keep it as something like that, and then we will move on to our front legs. So firstly, let's just go again over our left side. We will step a bit from this little line that we have for our back leg, and we will go down with another shape of the ellipse. So just create a smaller shape, a thinner shape like that. Go to the editing mode, and let's just go and adjust it. So let's just go and create something going in that way. Just play around with the position of this element, with the rotation of it. It's all up to you. Just find the direction that you would like to see here. To make it cuter, let's just go and create something going in that way. And when we have it, let's just tap on the screen and let's just go to the opposite side and create another shape for the front leg too. So let's just go there and create another shape similar to what we have on our left. So again, starting by creating a little ellipse, go into our editing mode, adjusting it here, trying to position it the same way that we have on the left. Take a look at everything from the distance if you need to. And when you have the result like that, let's just tap on the screen and let's just go and work onto our little fingers here. So for our front toes, for our front fingers, let's just go and again start by creating the directional lines like that. So we will just need to go and create something going in that way. We will do it on both sides. When we have these directional lines, let's just go and start creating our little sausages here. So we will need to nicely connect them with our main shape. So let's just go and start by creating something going in that way. Again, if you want to see everything more clearly, you are welcome to go grab your eraser and erase all the lines that you don't need here. And as for these fingers that we are creating right now, they are the same shapes that we had for our little toes at the back. So for this little element right here, let's just go with 2 toes on this leg that we have on the left, and let's go with 3 toes that we have on our leg on the right. If you see when you are creating your sketch that something is off, and if you want to adjust something, so for example, we can go and work more onto these 2 legs that we have on the right, we can just go very easily to our S ribbon icon. We can select the freehand method. We can select these 2 elements that we want to adjust. So just go and looping the shape around. And if we want to move them, we can go then to our arrow key right here on the left, use the uniform method and just drag them to other areas. So you can just go and play around with the position of these elements. You can go and rotate them by going to this green node, for example, and making the rotational movement. So just map out where you want these legs to be. And when you are quite satisfied with the position of these elements, let's just go and tap on the first icon that we were using. It was our S ribbon icon. And now we can just go and adjust our shapes in accordance with these new elements that we adjusted. So for example, we can just go grab our eraser and work onto these little elements right here. So we can just erase it and we can connect it nicely with our shape just manually by creating this line right here on the bottom. When you are satisfied with everything here, if you want, you can just go and clean everything up so you will know what you need to do later on with the clean lines. When we have something going in that way, the very last element that we will need to add here will be firstly going to our brush, and then we will go to this little tummy area and we will lift it up a little bit. So let's just go and create not this very rounded shape, but more like a squished shape. So just lifting up our little line here. When you've created it, let's just clean everything up. So just grab an eraser and erase all the lines that you don't need if you want to. When you are satisfied with everything here, we will go and make everything a little bit more interesting and a little bit more cute. So what we need to do firstly is to go to our arrow key. We will go to the freeform method and we will go to this node that we have right here on the bottom or on the top in the middle, and we can just go and move it more toward the center to squish up the whole illustration. Don't go too crazy, just create a cuter look for this little element. So by squishing it, we will make it a little bit cuter. When you have the result that you like, if you want, you can move it to the place that you want it to be. If you want to make sure that you're right at the center, you can go to the snapping right here, select snapping right here in the settings, and you will see these 2 orange lines when you are moving your object. And when you see these 2 orange lines, that will mean that you are right at the center. So now when you are satisfied with everything here, let's just go and deselect everything by tapping on our arrow key. And when we are done with our scheme, our sketch, we are ready to move on and start creating our clean lines. To start with our clean lines, firstly, let's just go to our layers. We will go to this layer where we have our scheme. We'll tap on the N icon right here. You can see we have this opacity slider. We will grab it and we will move it more toward the left until we still can see what's happening here, but when it's not that bright. When you are done, when it's not disturbing, we are tapping on the layer one more time. We are creating a new layer by tapping on the plus icon. And when we have this new layer, we will go to our color palette and we will select the color with the name lines. Now, when we did it, we will go to our brush library and we will go to the inking folder. In the inking folder, we will go and search for technical pen brush. We will select it, and if you want all of your lines to be very, very smooth, we can just go and tweak a few options here. So let's just tap on this brush when we are in the brush library. We will go inside the brush studio, we will go under stabilization right here on the left, and we can adjust the amount of streamline and amount of stabilization. You can try out different options right here. You can try it out onto the drawing pad, decide whether you want to adjust something here. Remember that you can always get back to this option later on. So when you're satisfied with adjusting these options, let's just hit done, and let's just go to our slider with the size and adjust it to something around 13%, or if you want to go with a thicker line, you are welcome to go and do that. What we need to do is to repeat what we have onto our little sketch, but we are going to be doing it not with 100% of similarity. So what we need to do firstly is to go to our outlines, and we will be going and repeating them. We can go a little bit beyond the frames, and we can use all the options that we used before. So let's just start with the eye. We will just go and recreate it. We will hold our line at the end, and if we need to adjust it, we will go to our editing mode and adjusting it from here. You can go a little bit inside the shapes to create a nicer look here. And also you can just go to the tips right here with your eraser and make them more pointy. So let's just go to the tip that we have right here inside our shape, and let's just go very, very easily and very, very neatly and create a tip like that. Do the same on the opposite side too if you need to. And when you have this first line, let's just get back to our brush. Let's just go to this little element that we have right here, and let's go and again recreate it. So again, all that we need to do here is to create the smooth lines, and also all of our lines should be closed. So that will help us to build up the colors later on. So now let's just go through all of these shapes, all of the outlines, and we will just go and create our closed, clean, and neat lines. As for the lines that we have outside, so for example, the line that we have right here, as for our body part, we can go not with a closed line here. So for example, we can just go and close our line right here. We can adjust it if we need to, and we are not going toward the bottom part right here. We will create a little gap here. With this gap, our lines will be looking a little bit better or a little bit more interesting. But overall, if we are creating this little gap, you can see that we have this leg here, and overall, if we create this line right here, our shape will be closed. So if you have some lines outside, you will need to make them closed, but if you have some lines inside, you can play around with them and create some interesting gaps to create a nicer look for your lines. Straight away, when you are connecting your lines, you are welcome to grab an eraser and create a nicer connections between your shapes. So when you are done with this leg that you have right here, let's just go and recreate these little toes. And again, if it's not happening from the first try, try it out one more time, create something that you would like to see here. And as we are using our technical pen, you can see that you are using a pressure brush. So that means that if you are using little pressure, your line will be thinner. And if you are pushing a little bit harder, you will see that the line is quite solid and pretty thick. So with this technical pen brush, you can create nicer lines and interesting shapes. When you are done with adding the lines on one side, move on to the opposite side and start adding the lines here too. And again, you don't need to repeat everything with 100% of similarity to what you have on your little scheme or your sketch. You are welcome to experiment and maybe try out different shapes if you see that something will work better here. So for example, we can just go right here to the toes and create different shapes for them or different directions if we see that it looks better. Remember that for the toes, we will need to achieve the look that they are standing on some surface and not just hanging out in the air. And now continue adding the lines until you have the full outline. Remember that all your lines need to be pretty smooth and they need to be closed. When you are done with the outlines, let's move on to our facial features. So firstly, we will just go and repeat these ellipses that we have for our irises. So just go in there and repeating the shapes the same way as before, just holding our line at the end and adjusting it through our editing mode if we need to. If you have some weird connections, so for example, like here, you are welcome to go and manually adjust the shape and pay more attention to the line that you have outside. make a nice connection, and then move on to the opposite side and recreate this eye here too. When you are done with the irises, let's get back to our brush and let's work onto our mouth here. So just recreating what we have here, or if you want to experiment, just go and experiment and create something that you would like to see here. Let's just go to the edges, the outside ones, and we will just go and thicken them up just by creating the shape like that. Let's just do it on both sides, and when you are done, let's just zoom out our canvas and let's just go and take a look at everything without our lines that we have for our sketch. Let's just go to our layers and we will go to the layer where we have our sketch and we will tap on this little checkbox. When we did it, let's just make sure that all of our lines are closed, all of our outline lines. And we will just need to go and adjust some places if we need to adjust something. So let's just go and make nice connections, maybe work onto the tips of the little legs, little lines that we have right here. So let's just go over all of these elements and let's adjust our lines if we need to. Also, if you think that maybe you would like to adjust some elements, for example, maybe you don't like this little leg right here, or maybe you want to make the leg on the opposite side a little bit bigger, let's just go and do the following. We will go to our Magic Wand tool and we will go under Liquify. We will use the option push and we can just go to the slider size and adjust the size of the brush that we are going to be pushing with. So now we can just spend some time here and push some areas to adjust them. So you can just go to, for example, these little legs that you have right here and adjust them manually with this tool. So now let's just spend some time here and adjust some of the areas if you want to adjust them. You can go outside the shapes, you can just go and make the size of the brush bigger and adjust the overall look of the legs that you have in the back or in the front, or maybe you want to adjust the placement of the little mouth. So it's all up to you. Just spend some time here and adjust the shapes to your liking. Take a look at everything from the distance, and when you are satisfied with everything here, let's just tap on our adjustments twice. And now it's time for the most exciting part. Let's add the colors. So firstly, let's just go to our layers and let's just go to our layer where we have our scheme. And from this layer, we'll create one more layer on top. Now we will get back to our layer where we have our lines. We will tap on this layer and we will choose reference. When we did it, we will get back to our new layer that we have created, our layer number 3, and then we will go to our color palettes and let's just start by selecting the color with the name green. When this color is selected, we will just go and drag it to the area on the body, and we can just go and hit continue filling on the top and just go to other areas that we need to recolor and just tap on them. So let's just go and do it with our little toes here. When we did it, when you are done recoloring the whole thing here, let's just tap on this little check mark on the top to go away from this mode. And then let's again go to our layers, create one more layer on top, go to our color palettes and select the color with the name lines. With this color selected, we will just go inside these eyes and we will just drag and drop the color here. And now we are done with our basic colors, so let's just go and start adding additional elements. So firstly, let's just go again to our color palettes and let's select the color with the name light yellow green. When this color is selected, we will go back to our layers. Now we don't need our reference anymore, so firstly let's just go to this layer where we have our reference on. We'll tap on it and we will choose reference from the list to turn it off. Now we will go to this green layer, we will create one more layer on top, we will tap on this new layer and we will choose clipping mask. That way we will be adding the new colors only on the areas that we have on our previous layer. Now, when everything is set in that way, let's just go to our brush library. We'll go to the airbrushing folder and we will select soft blend brush. Let's set the opacity of this brush to something around 20%, adjust the size of the brush to your liking, and then let's just zoom out our canvas and very softly from the top right, we will go to our little frog and we will be adding the additional color here. We will need to add this gradient color and we don't want it to be very blotchy, so we will just need to go and put more color on the top and reduce the opacity of this color that we are adding right now on the bottom. So let's just spend some time here and end this gradient very nicely. And if you overdid it, don't worry, we can just go and adjust it. So when you have the result like that, and if you have a super thin color transition at some areas, we can just go to our adjustments and go to the Gaussian blur. And we can hold our Apple Pencil at some blank space and just move it toward the right until we creating our little gradient here. So find the amount of Gaussian blur that you like so you don't have a very strong transition between the colors. When you are done, just tap on your adjustments and let's just go and start adding more colors. So firstly, let's just go again to our brush library. Let's just go to the calligraphy folder and select monoline brush. When we did it, let's just go to our color palettes and let's select yellow tummy color. With this color, we will go to our layers and we will create one more layer on top. Let's again tap on this layer and let's select clipping mask. When we did it, let's just go to this area that we had for our tummy. We can't see it right now, but we can change it by going again to our layers, grabbing this layer where we have our sketch, holding it and dragging it up above all the layers that we have here. You can again go and unhide it by tapping on this little check mark, and now you can see all your lines that you have before. And when we did it, let's get back to this new layer that we've created for our next element. And then we will just go adjust the size of our brush and we will go to this area and we will be going there and creating our tummy part. So let's just go and create it. Let's just do it either with one line or let's connect it nicely. Try to make everything very nice. Now, when you have the result like that, let's just get back to our layers. Let's hide our layer with our sketch and let's just go to the bottom and let's create this whole shape, and we will just go and create the lines going in that way. So for example, we will just go to this little area right here. We will loom the shape around with our lines and we will drag and drop the color right here. Let's just go and erase all the lines that we don't need, and we don't need the lines right here onto our arms. So let's just go and start creating our tummy going in that way. Now, if you think that maybe you want to adjust something here, you are welcome to go back to the liquify tool, adjust the size of your push brush, and adjust the overall tummy shape. So for example, let's just go not beyond the lines that we have for our little arms here. So let's just go and push the whole shape of our tummy a little bit inwards. When you have it this way, let's just deselect our adjustments and let's go and continue adding the color inside the shape to finish up our tummy. And also let's just go and erase all the lines that we don't need. When you have this shape for the tummy, let's just go again to our layers and let's just go create one more layer, tap on it and let's select clipping mask. When we did it, we will go to our color palette and select the color with the name cheeks. When this color is selected, we will go underneath our little eyes here and let's just go and create this shape like that. So we are again creating a shape on the ellipse. Let's just go to our editing mode and adjust it. For example, we can change the direction of it, we can change the size of it, we can change everything that we want to change here. So let's just go and create something going in that way. When you have the overall shape, let's just tap on the screen and let's just drag and drop the color inside. And then let's just go to the opposite side and create something similar here. Trying to position it in the same way that we have it on our left. And when you have the shape that you like, let's just tap on the screen and let's just drag and drop the color inside. If you want to make it a little bit cuter, we are welcome to go back to our color palette, select the white color, and with the white color, we can go inside our little cheeks, adjust the size of our brush a little bit to make it just visible, and just go right here and add a few lines like that. When we have the shape like that, let's just go to our layers and let's again go and create one more layer above. We'll tap on this layer, we will choose clipping mask, and then we will go and change the blending mode to multiply to create a shadow here. Let's just tap on the N icon and let's just go through this list and find our multiply blending mode. As for the opacity, let's go with 45%, so we are just dragging it toward we reached our 45%. When we did it, we will go to our color palette and we will select purple shadow color. With this color selected, we will firstly go to our bottom part. So we are going from our color that we have added on the top. It is our lighting color. So we will just go to the opposite side and we will be adding a little shadow here. So let's firstly go to this little bump part right here, and we will go with our first curve going in that way. Adjust it by going to your editing mode. If you want to, try to repeat the curve that you have on your outside shape. So just repeat it, and when you have it, just tap on the screen and let's just go close the shape. So we are just looping it around, and we will add the shadow inside when we close the shape. If you want to make your shadows more peculiar, you are welcome to go to these little elements that you have right here and work onto the shapes. So firstly, we also will need to go to the bottom part of our little arm here and add a shadow here. If you want to be more flexible with your lines, you are welcome to get back to the brush library, go to the inking folder and get back to the technical pen brush. And with the technical pen brush, it will be easier for you to create the flexible shapes here. And again, the same way as before, either manually or with your looping around right here, adding a few more peculiar shapes like that. If you need to adjust something with an eraser, you are welcome to go and do that. Also, with this color, we can just go and add some additional elements. So for example, some texture parts, you can just go and add some little dots or something going in that way. Also, let's just go to the bottom part of our little toes here and let's add our shadows here too. When we are done here, let's move on to our little eye here and add a little shadow here too. So just let's go a little bit down and create something going in that way. Connect it nicely with your previous shape of the shadow. If you need to make a nicer tip here, you are welcome to grab an eraser and create something going in that way. When we are done with the eye, let's just go to this leg right here. Let's just go right here to the connection between our leg and our little body shape. And let's just go and create a shadow going in that way. You can again create some peculiar shape for your shadow and create something going in that way. Loom the whole shape around and then drag and drop the color inside. Play around with your shape. If you want to go and create something peculiar, maybe add a few dots or something like that, you are welcome to go and do that. Add less shadow right here to these little parts on the little toes to create some peculiar effect here. When you have something like that, let's just go to the tummy area and we will create a little line going in that way to create a shadow here too. So just repeat the line that you have at the bottom and loom this whole shape around and drag and drop the color inside. Now, when we are done with the tummy, let's move on to the opposite side and again, we will start creating our shadows here. Let's go to this little toe right here and we will add the shadow on the top because we have our body overlapping our little toe here. Let's just go to the rest of the areas and let's add our little shadows here too. And as for this leg that we have right here, let's just go and put it completely in a shadow. And also we will just go to this little area right here between our leg and our little body part. And we will just go and create a little shadow here too. So we can just go and create this whole big shadow right here, loop it around and drag and drop the color to this area. Also, if you think that maybe this little white part of the tummy is looking a little bit weird, we can just get back to our layers, go to our layer where we have our tummy and erase it from here. Now let's just get back to our layers. Let's just go back to our layer where we have our shadow, and if you want to go and maybe add a few more additional elements in the shape of dots or some maybe lines or something like that, you are welcome to go and do that. Try not to overdo it, just add enough of these elements to create some kind of the texture. And the very last shadow that we will add will be the shadow right here on the top, so we will just go there and create something going in that way. If you want, you can go to this little eye right here and add a little shadow here too. When you have something like that, let's just get back to our layers and let's just go and create one more layer above. One more time, we will tap on this layer and we will choose clipping mask, and then we will go to our color palettes and select the white color. With the white color, let's just go and add some highlights. Let's go firstly over the top part. We will go to this eye and we will add a big highlight right here. Firstly, let's just go above the areas where we don't have any shadows, and we will just go there and add our highlights. Again, you can go along the edges that you have for your outlines and create the highlights going in that way, or you can just go and add a few highlights outside. So for example, you can go with, again, little dots, little elements like little sparkles or something like that. Just create a few of them to add a nice effect here. Let's continue by going to this little leg right here and add our little highlight here. And also, for this little part, we can just go to some of the legs and some of the areas where we have our shadows and add little highlights there too. So for example, let's just go right here to this leg. Let's create a little highlight here. Let's just go over the opposite side to this big shadow that we have here, and we will add a little line right here too. Let's go to our leg right here and add the little highlight here too. If you want to go to the toes, you are welcome to go and add your highlights here too. If you want to go to some other areas and add your highlights, you are welcome to go and do that too. So now, when we have the result like that, let's just go and work onto the eyes. Firstly, we are going to our layers. We are going to our layer where we have our eyes. We will create one more layer on top, tap on this layer, and again select clipping mask. Now, let's just go to our color palettes and select the red color. With the red color, we will go toward the bottom parts and we will start by creating the big shapes like that. So half of the ellipses or half of the circles. Adjust them through your editing mode if you need to. Loom the whole shape around and drag and drop the color inside. When you have it on one eye, do the same on the opposite sides too. Just try to make it a little bit smaller and try to position it in the perspective. Now, when you have the shapes like that, let's just go above. And firstly, we are going to our color palettes and let's select the color with the name Cheeks. With the color Cheeks, we will go toward the top parts and we will create a big highlight like that. Position it differently if you want to, adjust it through your editing mode. Find what works for you. If you have some little gaps in your lines or if your outline is not perfect, just go there and manually adjust it and then just drag and drop the color inside. Do the same on the opposite side too. When you have the elements set in that way, you are welcome to go to some other areas and maybe add little dots or little sparkles like that. So just add a few of them with this color, and when you have something going in that way, let's just go again to our layers. Let's just tap on this layer where we have these additional elements and let's select Alpha Lock. When we did it, we will go to our color palettes and select the white color. When the white color is selected, we will go to this big highlight. We will step a bit from the edges and we will be adding another shape for our highlight. So just add the first line like that and then manually recolor the rest of the area. And when you did it on the first eye, do the same on the opposite side too. Now, when we are done with these highlights, let's just get back to our layers, again working with the same layer, tapping on it and selecting Alpha Lock one more time. When we did it, we are getting back to our eyes and let's just go and add a few more highlights with this white color. So let's just go to some of the areas, try not to overdo, just add a few of these little dots, some little sparkles like that. And when you are done, all that we need to do is to add a little shadow underneath our frog. So let's just go to our layers, we will go to the bottom. So it will be easier for us to go to the layer where we have our highlights and create a new layer from here. And then just hold this layer and drag it underneath our little frog. When we have this layer, let's just go to our color palettes. You can go and try out this red color, or if you want, you can go with some other colors. For example, you can try the color with the name Lines. All that we need to do is to go underneath our little frog here and create a shape of the ellipse. Try to position this ellipse horizontally and adjust it through your editing mode if you need to. To position it horizontally, you just need to pay attention to the nodes that you have outside, so on the sides. And if you want to make this shape a little bit more close, you are working with these little nodes that you have on the top and on the bottom. Adjust the placement on this element by moving it if you need to. And when you are done with positioning it, let's just tap on the screen and let's just drag and drop the color inside. Now, let's just get back to our list. Let's just go to this N icon and let's adjust the opacity. If you want, you also can go and change the blending mode. So for example, in this case, we can just go with the blending mode with the name linear light. And if you want to adjust the opacity, again, you are welcome to go and do that. So for example, we can set it at something around 50%. And if you want, you can also go and make this shadow a little bit softer by going to the adjustments and using our Gaussian blur and adding a bit of blur to this little shadow. If you are not quite satisfied with the shadow after you are done with Gaussian blur, so for example, you want to make it bigger or smaller, go to the arrow key and adjust it from here. And when you are done adjusting your shadow, we are done with our illustration. I hope you are proud of your result. Share it on socials and tag me so I can see your beautiful creations. And if you enjoyed this video, you can find more similar kawaii tutorials on my Skillshare or on Patreon at the link in the description. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next tutorial.